On a quiet Saturday morning in Ocala, Florida, a routine welfare check led police into an apartment where nothing made sense. A man was dead. The room was spotless. And the story everyone first believed began to fall apart almost immediately. What looked like a dangerous hookup gone wrong soon revealed something far darker. A carefully staged crime, lies hidden behind clean surfaces, and evidence someone believed had been erased. Welcome to Minds of Murderers, the channel where we go beyond the headlines to explore the psychology, choices, and hidden motives behind real-life crimes. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because every case we cover asks one unsettling question: how does an ordinary life spiral into murder? Today's story is one of secrets, double lives, and a truth that refuse to stay buried. Take a breath, stay with us, and let's step inside the mind behind the murder. Just before 11 a.m. on March 25, 2023, deputies from the Marion County Sheriff's Office responded to a welfare check at an apartment complex in Citrus Park, Ocala, Florida. The request came after growing concern over a man who had seemingly vanished without explanation. Two separate calls had been placed that morning. One came from a coworker. The other came from Timothy Smith's husband, Herbert Swilly. Timothy Smith was 59 years old and worked as an executive director at a senior living facility. According to co-workers, he was reliable to a fault. He never missed work. So when he failed to show up and couldn't be reached by phone or text, alarms were raised. Outside the apartment, Tim's Jeep sat unmoved in the parking lot. Once deputies entered the unit, the situation took a dark turn. Inside one of the bedrooms, they found Tim lying on his back beside the bed. He was dressed only in a t-shirt and shoes. Around his neck was a dark, unmistakable ligature mark. Timothy Smith was dead. The apartment where Tim was found was not the home he shared with his family. It was a second unit, kept separate and private. According to Herb, it was used as a massage studio and a place for adult encounters. A space where meetings were arranged online, away from their daughter and their everyday life. But from the moment investigators stepped inside, something felt off. There were no signs of a struggle. No overturned furniture. No broken items. No blood spatter. The bed was neatly made, and the room appeared almost untouched. The apartment was unusually clean. Too clean. Investigators were struck by the strong smell of bleach lingering in the air. Herb claimed this made no sense. He said Tim hated bleach and would never have used it in the apartment. As deputies continued their search, the lack of chaos raised troubling questions. If this was a violent encounter, where was the evidence? And if Tim hadn't cleaned the space himself, then who had? Whatever happened here, it didn't end when Tim died. Someone had stayed behind. As investigators continued searching the apartment, one discovery immediately raised questions. Inside the washing machine sat a small black bag. It contained Timothy Smith's wallet, his apartment and Jeep keys, and his cell phone. According to Herb, Tim never came to this apartment without that bag. It was always with him. So why was it hidden in the washer? Even more peculiar, towels were missing, and personal items were out of place. Leather clothing was left where Tim would never have left it. Every detail pointed to one uncomfortable truth. The scene hadn't happened naturally. It had been arranged. Someone had staged the apartment after the fact. And that realization sent a chill through investigators. This wasn't just a crime of opportunity. Someone had planned it, and they had taken steps to manipulate the scene. The question now was obvious. Who had the knowledge, access, and motive to do this? Timothy Smith was more than a victim. He was a respected man in his community. He had recently become sober, attending Alcoholics Anonymous regularly, and even sponsoring others on their recovery journeys. He served on nonprofit boards, supported Alzheimer's research, and was known for his commitment to self-improvement. Just months before his death, he had lost his mother, a devastating blow for both him and his sister. Financially, Tim was the primary provider. His role allowed the couple to maintain multiple homes, vehicles, and travel comfortably. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Friends would later describe the marriage as deteriorating. And someone close to Tim, someone with knowledge of his routines and vulnerabilities, clearly did not want him to leave. This wasn't just a murder. It was personal. The autopsy revealed the horrifying truth. Timothy Smith had been strangled, but the violence didn't stop there. His neck was broken. He had suffered trauma to his face and other parts of his body. Even more chilling, toxicology showed Tim had been heavily drugged. His blood contained diphenhydramine, commonly known as Benadryl, at over 30 times the normal dose. This wasn't accidental. Tim would have been dizzy, disoriented, possibly unconscious. Whoever killed him didn't just attack. They ensured he couldn't resist. This was calculated, deliberate, and brutal. Investigators immediately sought leads. A bottle of lubricant found in the apartment returned fingerprints and DNA that pointed to 2 men with criminal histories. Both were tracked down. Both had alibis. One was hundreds of miles away. The other was incarcerated. Every external suspect was eliminated. The killer had not come from outside. The evidence began to point in one direction. The danger, it seemed, had been inside Timothy Smith's life all along. As investigators pieced together the puzzle, friends began noticing something deeply unsettling. Herbert Swilly, Timothy's husband, wasn't grieving. He was calm, detached, almost rehearsed. He offered explanations no one asked for: a Ring doorbell glitch, a missing key, strange GPS activity. The more he spoke, the more inconsistent his story became. Friends began to wonder, could the person closest to Tim be hiding something? Herb's calmness, his volunteered details, and his peculiar behavior were drawing suspicion. And then, when friends visited the main home, what they saw would make investigators' concerns all the more serious. Inside the main home, Tim's personal belongings were disappearing. Family photos were gone, decorations thrown away, rugs and furniture missing. Herbert claimed the dog had soiled them and that he had already disposed of everything early Friday morning. But investigators weren't told about that trip. And crucially, the Ring doorbell hadn't malfunctioned at all. Footage that could have captured what happened had been deleted. Someone was erasing evidence. The house, once full of life and memories, was now a sanitized crime scene. It was becoming clear. This wasn't just a murder. It was a cover-up. Surveillance footage revealed the truth no one could deny. At 1:59 a.m., Herbert Swilly's white pickup truck, pulling a black trailer, was seen leaving the main house, heading toward the second apartment. The truck returned shortly after. Then, at 2:43 a.m., Tim's Jeep appeared at the apartment alone. Cell phone tracking confirmed the sequence. Tim's phone traveled with the truck, not the Jeep. A final piece of the puzzle. A figure walking back toward the house on foot. The implication was clear. Timothy Smith had not driven himself to the apartment. The scene was staged. Herb had transported his husband's body and attempted to make it look like a tragic accident during a private encounter. The cameras didn't lie. On November 3, 2023, Herbert Swilly was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Investigators uncovered life insurance policies totaling hundreds of thousands of dollars, with Herb as the primary beneficiary. Friends recalled his anger, resentment, and threats toward Tim. Prosecutors argue the motive was clear. Tim planned to leave the marriage, take control of his finances, and perhaps start fresh. Herb had both motive and opportunity, and now the evidence confirmed his actions. The man closest to Tim, the one he trusted the most, was the one who had planned his death. At trial, the defense tried to shift blame everywhere. Former hookup partners, incarcerated men, even Herb's own daughter, Jordan. But her testimony was damning. Jordan admitted her father told her to lie, to say she had heard nothing, to claim he was home all night. The jury listened closely. Every detail Herb tried to manipulate unraveled. The evidence, combined with Jordan's courage in telling the truth, painted a clear picture of guilt. The man who seemed calm and detached was hiding the darkest betrayal. In September 2025, after a week-long trial, the verdict was read. Guilty. First-degree, premeditated murder. Herbert Swilly was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Timothy Smith's life had ended violently, but the truth was finally revealed. Justice was served. The plan to cover up his murder had failed. The danger of betrayal from the ones we trust most had been laid bare. Timothy Smith is remembered by his sister, his daughter Jordan, and community still mourning his loss. This case is a chilling reminder. The most dangerous people are often the ones closest to us, the ones who know our routines, our trust, and our vulnerabilities. At Minds of Murderers, we explore the minds behind these crimes, uncovering how deceit, greed, and betrayal can lead to tragedy. If this story moved you, consider subscribing, liking the video, and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware, and remember, every crime begins in the mind.